Osiris, Odin, Nimrod, Nazi, Antichrist.
All right, a bit more new information out of North Carolina, where officials are searching for a male suspect in a morning shooting inside the library at Wayne Community College. According to Daniel Wiggins, who was the assistant operations manager for Wayne County, the suspect is white, he's bald, 5'11". He has a tattoo over his left eye. He has a goatee. He's wearing a blue jacket with light-colored pants. Now, it's important that if you spot this suspect, to call authorities and not take matters into your own hand. The victim, who was shot in the library, apparently by this man, has now died.
The shooter is described as a white male with a bald head, 5'11", goatee, and a tattoo over his left eye. The shooter is later identified as Kenneth Stansel III, a former student.
Right now, tonight, Stansel is still on the run, but his mother is speaking out only to WNCN.
She says the Kenneth Stansel who did this is not the son she knows.
She said there were also unwanted sexual advances.
And he told him to stop, and he kept on, and then advances to another family member, and then losing his job, and that devastated.
I first want to ask you, do you know where your son is?
I have no idea.
Has he reached out to you today?
No.
Debbie Stansel says she last spoke with her son this morning around 7, just before the Wayne County Sheriff's Office says Kenneth Stansel went to class and shot and killed his former work-study employer in a campus bathroom.
If you could contact him right now, what would you tell him to do?
Turn himself in.
Stansel says the man seen here with face tattoos is not the son she knew.
The tattoos on the face was just up there since Saturday.
His mother and younger brother describe him as a former Boy Scout who is excited about attending college.
He made Eagle just before he turned 18, and he was very proud of it.
The shooter's mother claims that Kenneth just made Eagle Scout before he turned 18. Eagle Scouts are also called Eagles, and it is the highest rank a Boy Scout can receive. The eagle represents the sun god Horus, and 18 equals 666. This connects Kenneth to the Birdman Antichrist theme that we have discussed previously.
Next week, the board of the Boy Scouts of America is going to vote on whether to end their national ban on gays and scouting. Should scouting be open to gays?
Yes.
Why so?
Well, because I think that, my attitude is that gays and lesbians should have access and opportunity the same way everybody else does.
The Boy Scouts of America was incorporated on February 8th, 1910, under the laws of the District of Columbia, who represents ISIS. 34 representatives met on June 21st, which is the summer solstice. Remember the use of these key phrases found in this event.
He made Eagle just before he turned 18.
The number 666, the eagle, the sun god Horus, in the District of Columbia, as we will revisit them later. Kenneth's mother said the tattoos that he had were recently put on his face on Saturday.
Stansel says the man seen here with face tattoos is not the son she knew.
The tattoos on the face was just up there since Saturday.
Saturday equals Saturn's day. Saturn is also Nimrod. He was Kronos to the Greeks. To the Egyptians, he was Osiris. The Phoenicians, Carthaginians, and Canaanites referred to Saturn as Baal or Baalim. The person from whom these various legends extend is none other than Nimrod, that mighty hunter who was against Yahweh. Rome was originally the city of Saturn. Tradition related that Saturn, the earliest god of agriculture, dwelt on the hill called the Capitoline, and introduced the Golden Age into Italy whilst reigning there. This was called the Saturnian reign. The Capitoline Hill, the smallest of Rome's 7 hills, and the site of Saturnia, was long considered the most sacred and became the seat of civil government. This is where Capitol Hill in the District of Columbia was derived. Take note of this connection to Capitol Hill as well, because we will revisit this later also. Interestingly enough, the shooter, Kenneth Stansel, was arrested in Florida, the Sunshine State, sleeping on the beach or sunbathing.
Residents were disturbed. He chose to flee to Daytona Beach, where officers found him sleeping around 1 o'clock this morning.
Frustrates all of us that hang out and live on the beach here.
Officials say Stansel woke up with a knife in his hand but dropped it when ordered to.
This event was orchestrated with the specific intention to invoke the sun gods and the German Nazi Superman Antichrist theme. Remember, this comes on the heels of the German Wings plane crash, which involved a reference to Norse mythology, alchemy, and the connection to Apollyon rising, which we have discussed previously. Notice the numbers 18 and 88 are encoded in this story. The shooter had a tattoo over his left eye, which included the number 88. The man killed worked at Wayne College for 18 years. Neo-Nazis used the number 88 as an abbreviation for the salute Heil Hitler. The letter H is 8th in the alphabet, whereby 88 becomes HH or Heil Hitler. The number 18 is also used for Adolf Hitler's name, the number 1 representing A for Adolf, and the number 8 representing H for Hitler. It should also be noted that the swastika is a representation of the sun. This shooting occurred April 13th, 2015, 7 days before April 20th, Hitler's birthday. This was an orchestrated event meant to happen during the week of Hitler's birthday, just like the Columbine school shooting, which occurred April 20th, 1999, the Virginia Tech school shooting, which occurred April 16, 2007, and the Deepwater Horizon explosion, which was a representation of Horus rising, and it occurred April 20th, 2010. Nazis were very much into sun worship. Hitler was quoted as saying, "If you want to shine like the sun, first you have to burn like it." Nazis wanted to return to the paganism of their ancestors based on nature, the sun and the moon. They held that the ancient German tribes had seen these as manifestations of the gods. The sun, for example, being the watchful eye of Wotan, which awoke life in everything earthly. Wotan is also known as Odin, the one-eyed Norse god. Interestingly enough, on April 15th, 2015, Aaron Hernandez, a former Florida Gator, which is a reference to the Sunshine State, was found guilty of first-degree murder for the killing of Odin Lloyd. Odin is the one-eyed Norse god. When we take a look at some of the details in this story, it becomes obvious that this was an orchestrated event as well. A witness in the case against the patriot, Aaron Hernandez, named Alexander Bradley, claims he was shot in the face in Florida by Hernandez, which caused him to lose his right eye. Once again, this is a reference to Odin, the one-eyed Norse god. On the night of June 17th, 2013, Odin Lloyd is picked up by Aaron Hernandez and 2 other men at 3 a.m. At 3:07, Odin Lloyd texts his sister, "Did you see who I was with?" At 3:22, Lloyd texts NFL. 322 is the number which represents the Skull and Bones Secret Society at Yale, which is in Connecticut, the same place where Aaron Hernandez's co-defendants drove from to meet Hernandez at his North Attleboro home near Patriot Stadium the night of the shooting. Interestingly enough, Walter Camp, who is known as the father of American football, is a graduate of Yale. At Yale, he was a member of the Linnean Society, one of Yale's oldest secret societies, and Skull and Bones. He was also employed by the New Haven Clock Company, which connects him with Kronos. At 3:23, Lloyd texts, "Just so you know." Odin Lloyd's body is found later that morning, only 4 days before the summer solstice, June 21st.
Tonight, New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft took center stage.
Patriots owner Robert Kraft made an appearance in the trial. Kraft is the CEO of the Kraft Group, a reference to witchcraft. He attended Columbia University, which is a reference to ISIS. He is a board member for Viacom, the global mass media conglomerate which owns Comcast, Fox, Time Warner, CBS, Disney, and 21st Century Fox. April 15th, 2015, Doug Hughes, a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier from Florida, the Sunshine State, landed his helicopter at the U.S. Capitol building. Before landing, he flew around the Washington Monument. The helicopter derives its name from Helios, who is the sun god, the same as Apollo. President Washington laid the cornerstone of the U.S. Capitol in the building's southeast corner on September 18, 1793, with Masonic ceremonies. Remember, in the beginning of this video, I told you to take note of a few key words surrounding the shooting at Wayne College. The fact that the shooter was an Eagle Boy Scout, and how the Boy Scouts were formed in the District of Columbia, and their connection to the summer solstice, the use of the number 18 in the story, or 666, and also how Saturn was connected with Capitol Hill. Here is the connection to this story. Doug Hughes works for the United States Post Office, whose symbol is an eagle, which represents Horus. He flew around the Washington Monument before he landed. The Washington Monument is an Egyptian obelisk which represents the sun god Osiris or Horus, and it is 555 feet tall, or 6,660 inches.
This man talked to the Tampa Bay Times well ahead of time. They taped a video with him.
Well ahead of time, as in days ago, hours ago?
And actually, the reporter from the Tampa Bay Times then went to Washington today to watch this happen. He wrote on Twitter ahead of time, "This is one of the craziest stories I've ever done. I hope nobody gets hurt."
What is even more interesting and proves that this incident was orchestrated is that the Secret Service was made aware about this flight before it took place. A news report stated Doug Hughes' close friend and co-worker, Mike Shanahan, said today that the Ruskin mailman is not a terrorist and did not mean any harm with his protest. And just hours before Hughes landed in Washington, Hughes' friend said he called a Secret Service agent to notify him of the possibility of the gyrocopter flight. "He's not a suicide bomber. He's a patriot," said Shannon, who lives in Apollo Beach. This connects this event to the sun god, Apollo. These orchestrated events continue to prove that there's a secret cabal operating behind the scenes with the intent of manipulating the public through signs, symbols, and satanic ritual murders in an effort to bring about the rule of the one-eyed Antichrist. If you have not devoted your life to Yahushua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, and accepted his free gift of salvation, now is the time. Shalom.